Hey, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Count, and welcome to another Pokemon Go deep dive video. Today we'll be going over a Go Battle League team instead of a single Pokemon. This particular team has gone undefeated for me so far with a record of 15 wins. I'm going to be giving you all of the details regarding this team in this video, so let's roll the intro and get right into it. So earlier this year, I made a deep dive video going over what I believed was the best Great League team within the current meta. That team consisted of Skarmory as the lead, Galarian Stunfisk as the switch, and Walrein as the closer. Now, that particular team has given me a ton of success, but there were definitely inherent flaws. Type coverage was a major issue, and there was just too much bulk without any decent offense or well-roundedness. However, I ended up getting a rank 1 Altaria during the previous in-game event, so I decided to switch it into this team to see how it would perform. Overall, my results have been stellar. With the addition of Altaria to a team consisting of Walrein and Galarian Stunfisk, I found that the amount of coverage increased exponentially. There were very few instances where I was caught out, as pretty much every one of the Pokemon on this team was able to cover for the others. So let's go over each Pokemon in detail. My lead Pokemon for this team is Galarian Stunfisk. This ground and steel type Pokemon is arguably the best Pokemon for the Great League. It has incredible bulk, a very good type combo, and a move pool that consists of high energy generation with high damage charge attacks. Leading with this Pokemon has actually caused plenty of players to just flat out quit. When constructing my teams, I have a tendency to build around this Pokemon because of just how powerful it is. Next up, I have Walrein. For the time being, this Pokemon has just insane all-around strength in the current meta. It is bulky, yet also has probably the current most overpowered move pool. There were many cases where I would just straight up win by spamming Icicle Spear. This Pokemon also synergizes extremely well with both Altaria and Galarian Stunfisk. I just had to include him into this team. And finally, we have the new addition to this team, and it is the Dragon and Flying type Altaria. It has a ton of resistances and a lot of offensive firepower with a high DPS fast move and hard-hitting charge attacks. While I was fond of using Skarmory, I discovered that Altaria just fit this particular team a lot better. It has incredible type coverage for the other two Pokemon, as it can very easily handle direct counters to Galarian Stunfisk and Walrein, and it has a lot of shield pressure and switch pressure with its fast and charge attacks. Honestly, this team as a whole is probably the best one I've ever used. I frequently experiment with my rosters by adding and removing different Pokemon to match the meta, but this team just seems so overpowered. With the meta shifting, I can still see myself using this team. Now, one of the core strengths of this team is the sheer amount of type coverage. There are very few Pokemon that could easily handle all three of these Pokemon, and even meta-defining Pokemon like Registeel, Swampert, and Trevenant get melted down pretty easily. Most of this type coverage comes down to the moves that I have set for each of these Pokemon. For Galarian Stunfisk, I am running Mud Shot as my fast attack, and Rock Slide and Earthquake as the charge attacks. For Walrein, I am using Powder Snow, Icicle Spear, and Earthquake, and finally, Altaria is using Dragon Breath, Moonblast, and Sky Attack. I did try experimenting with Peck instead of Dragon Breath, but it seems like it is an inferior move. Overall, I just feel like not a single Pokemon on this team will drag down the rest. In my previous roster, I built around both Walrein and Galarian Stunfisk and had Skarmory to cover against fighting types, but after running into several Talonflames and Defense Form Deoxys, I realized that there was plenty of holes in that team. With Altaria, however, it feels like I have all of my bases covered. Even though it loses against Skarmory in a one-on-one matchup, it is by far so much better at dealing with Pokemon that are strong against Galarian Stunfisk and Walrein. Just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, take a look at this breakdown of how this team does against the current meta. I went over to pvpoke.com and used their team builder to rate this particular team. The meta scorecard that they gave me shows that there isn't a single Pokemon in the current meta that has a favorable matchup against all of my team's Pokemon. The purple X's are where my team wins out. Now let's take a look at the same chart but with Skarmory instead of Altaria. You can see that there still is some great type coverage, but a lot more holes start to appear. One in particular, Obstagoon, pretty much destroys my entire team. This would be troubling right now because Obstagoon just had a community day, so there's a high chance I would come across them more often than not right now. And this is just with the current meta Pokemon. This doesn't include Pokemon like Ninetales, Defense Form Deoxys, Alolan Marowak, etc. All of these Pokemon are still pretty common, and they can be extremely difficult to deal with if Skarmory is on my team instead of Altaria. Overall, I found that having Altaria on my team instead of Skarmory and having Galarian Stunfisk as my lead is just a lot better. In fact, this is the overview score that PvPoke.com gives this team. You can see that it has a decent coverage score, which we already discussed, but it has an exceptional score in the categories of bulk, safety, and consistency. The bulk score makes total sense, as there are high defense stat Pokemon on this team with a lot of resistances. The safety score is also pretty good, and falls in line with the type coverage I mentioned earlier. Finally, the consistency score also makes sense, as I have yet to lose with this team, and there just doesn't seem to be any specific team comp that can handle it. So yeah, overall, this team is an absolute monster. There really won't be that many instances where I will flat out lose due to matchups. It will really come down to skill, especially if I'm in a mirror matchup situation. But hey, that's literally how things go with the Go Battle League. Simply having the best of the best Pokemon will only take you so far. You still have to be smart with your shields, and you have to know when to switch. But if you can master these elements and utilize a team as strong as this, there really is no ceiling for you to hit. And yeah, with that said, that's going to be the end of this video. Leave your thoughts regarding this team down below. Is this a team you are willing to try? Let me know why or why not, and let's have a great discussion. And if you ended up enjoying this video and found it to be helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then be sure to check out the links in the description below. For all of my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way, like with remote raids, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I will catch you all later.